What you're watching right now is a fascinating simulation with thousands of particles, each type with its own set of rules. From simple attraction and repulsion instructions, complex, lifelike organisms can form. But first, how did we get here? It all started when I came across some very interesting videos about this thing called particle life. So obviously, I decided to try and code my own version using SDL3, which is a development library for C and C++. So after setting it up, which was relatively easy, I made a window. The code for this is actually quite simple. We initialize SDL and create a window and a renderer. Then we enter in a game loop in which we will draw everything and will update all of our logic. If the close button is pressed, run becomes false, so our simulation closes. Then I made some structures and created a function to generate all the starting positions of the particles randomly. After that, I just looped over all of the particles and rendered them. So now we have a window with some particles, but they don't really do anything. So I added a random velocity to each particle and an update function will update their positions. And now we have moving particles. I did notice that a lot of them were running out of the screen, so I made a function that just basically makes them loop around the edges. Okay, so far all we've done is set up the basis of our simulation, but our particles can't actually interact with each other. So let's get started on that. After looking at some slightly scary math formulas, I was able to make all the particles attract each other. As you can see, they're basically forming little groups, which I find really cool. If you're wondering, the code for this is actually quite simple. For every particle, we check every other particle and calculate the distance. If it's bigger than a predefined range, we ignore it and skip. If not, then we just calculate the strength using a math formula that I would explain, but I'm not too sure I understand it fully, and I don't want to confuse you all, so yeah, there it is, I guess. And then we just add it to the velocity. Now, so far, there's only one type of particle, aka only one color, and that's getting quite boring. So, I made some predefined colors and changed the type for each particle to be randomized. And would you look at that, we now have colorful particles. Now, there is one problem. When we apply the forces, we don't take in consideration the type. So our algorithm thinks that all types are just the same. The solution? A force matrix. It's a matrix that contains the interaction value from each type's perspective for each type. Implementing this was actually quite simple. Now, whenever I need to see the interaction value, I just look it up in the matrix. Now, as you can see, our simulation is definitely doing something, but the results are not perfect. It's mainly because the particles can speed up so much that they escape the other particles' attraction. To solve that problem, we can create a max speed and make sure that any particle's speed does not go over it. Our simulation already looks a lot better, and we can even see some clusters starting to form. But as you can notice, most of the clusters are compacting into very tiny spaces. To solve this, if the distance between two particles is too small, I added an automatic repulsion force. Now, this looks really cool, but so far we only have some blobs. But if we randomize the force matrix with this interesting function that makes sure that there's no case in which the interaction is zero, the result is fascinating. I find the simulation really interesting, and I think that is definitely worth to try and create your own version of particle life. I had a lot of fun doing this, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Yeah, that's all. Bye.